How about now? Can you guys see me now and hear me? Did I'll wait for you guys. I'll try and move around. So because I know I can sit here still like a statue and you guys don't know. Okay, good. Oh my God. I've been jibber jabbering for the last few minutes and you guys just saw a blue screen. That's so funny. Okay, I see it now. Man, that's crazy. Maybe you can hear Ellie jibber jabbering away. I should probably close the door, bring her back in. Anyway, uh, if she starts, I gotta go get her. I'm sorry. Hold on. Uh, she's gonna terrorize the neighbors out there, mowing the grass or something, and she's just losing her mind. Is the image low quality? That's not good. There's a little bit of a green screen, dithering sometimes. But anyhow, what I was trying to say is, welcome to my Sunday live stream where we talk about photography and I answer any questions I can about Olympus cameras or any kind of photography topic in general. Talk about what's new and see what's going on with everyone. How's everybody doing today? See a lot of people here. Awesome. I see Marco, Steve, Ann, Ed, Plato, Annette, Rick Bear. Oh my goodness, how are you? And Scott, good to see you. Thomas, Randy, usual crowd. That's awesome. Ellie's much prettier than me. That's for sure. Um, I got to raise my seat a little bit. I've had this chair for a little over 10 years. It's just starting to, it just sinks down every time I come back to sit down in it. And I feel like, I don't know. Anyhow, what I was saying earlier was I went out on a couple of photo walks again yesterday with the photo club and today with another member of the photo club to Riverbend Park. And I posted everything up. Well, I posted some on Instagram and I posted a lot more on Flickr. So if you guys follow me on Instagram or Flickr, you can see a little bit. But and as always, I put everything up pretty much straight out of camera, if not directly out of camera. And let me see if I can maybe share a little bit, show you guys what I've been doing. I'll just go to the Flickr page. So I got more on the Flickr page. Um, oh, what button did I assign? This one? No. That's close though. I gotta look at something. I reassigned my buttons this week. Now I don't know which one is which. Uh, this one. Yeah. Don't need to see my OBS. How come I'm not in there? There we go. Anyhow, yeah, this is Riverbend Park, and oh, the live comp Plato, you like that one? Oh, right. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the chat here. Uh, Replacing the ribbon cable on your EM10. If it's the M10 Mark 1, I'd probably just get a new camera. If it's the M10 Mark 2, and you can get it done for less than $100, I would get it replaced and fixed. That said, because you can buy them brand new for about 300, the camera itself. So if you want to spend less than a third of that fixing the one you have, I think that's a reasonable amount to spend. But if you got a lot of clicks on that and a lot of life out of that already, then I'd probably just replace it. If you just got the camera recently and haven't used it that much, it might be worth fixing. So that's what I would do, Robert. Um, and let's see. This anyway, Plato liked the live shot I did, uh, or the live comp shot. This is another live comp shot that I did today. This is pretty close to the straight out of the camera. All I did was convert it to black and white and do some color adjustments, so you could see the trees a little better. But this is only a 1 minute exposure on live comp. It's not much. And let's see. This is your standard, tree shot. And I was shooting with the Pen F with the 14-to-150 most of the time, but then the other half of the time I was shooting with the 75mm f1.8. And there's a spider web, boring, another boring shot. This one I kind of liked. And you'll notice that the white balance and stuff is off. I was trying to warm up the white balance a little bit from just being plain old straight up, 5,000 Kelvin, white balance. I wanted to give a little color to it. This is okay. The problem with this, there's a lot of bluebells at this park right now. I mean, it's just covered with bluebells everywhere. But bluebells, the color itself is actually pretty faint, and you have to get up really close to really see the color. When you do sort of a wider shot like this, because this is all bluebells here, and there should be a nice reflection of bluebells here. And I used the soft focus filter with white vignette in camera, so this is straight out of camera, but yeah, it's okay. This was an interesting flower. Oh, there's me. Audrey took a picture. She's one of the members of the club. She took this picture of me, um, taking pictures of the bluebells. And you can see it's pretty overcast, at least in this shot, because it was pretty cloudy the whole time. So that's why I shifted the white balance to be a lot warmer, because I wanted to make it look more natural. This one here is, I tried to go for some hooks, right, with the leaves and everything, and there was a hook in the log behind it. So I don't know. It's kind of a mess. I mean, what I really liked about this picture, I did like these hooks here and here, but I really like these little flowers and the leaves down here, and the lighting just was not conducive to making that part of the image work. So I just went with the form of the hooks instead of working with the colors and the lighting. It was a tough day. It was a tough day. This one is pretty good, actually. I like this one. I wonder if I can just full screen these a little bit. This I used these leaves were very, very green. So I used a green filter and black and white in the Pen F. So the leaves really stood out against the background. And I think this was my 75mm f1.8. And let's see. Yeah, they're not vertical, right? All the trees are crooked here. These trees are crooked. They're not straight. But in this case, I focused on the trees in one shot, and the grass in the foreground just was all blurry. That made it look messy, right? So I just decided to focus on the grass. And I liked how all the grass was at an angle, and then how all the trees were at an angle. So you can see that, I don't know, the wind and the river all go downstream from left of the screen to the right. So it's kind of interesting how everything goes to the right. uh, this is a natural light bluebell that I took, and I warmed it up quite a bit in camera. So again, these are straight out of camera shots. This one here, this one has a dragon. If you look at this log, there's a dragon face in it. So like, like right here is the eye, and then here's the mouth going in here. I don't know. I thought it was kind of neat. So other than that, this shot's not very interesting. If you don't see the dragon, not the dragon, but the alligator in the log, then it's just kind of a boring shot. And then this is Audrey. I went with this morning on the photo walk. She's getting a shot of this pond here. And this frog, God, the light was terrible. It was like the contrast. This one I edited in Photoshop. I had to really bring the highlights down and the shadows up a lot because it just cuts your eyes out if you look at it straight out of camera. It was hard to look at because the lighting was so strong. But this frog was under this plant here trying to get a little bit of shade, but I guess it moved and he didn't. I mean, the shadow of the thing moved. But it was kind of a neat thing to catch there. And there's Audrey standing on top of the hill there. Oh, this came out good, I think. It looks much better on my screen, I think, than in the live stream. But this one again, straight out of camera. I really like this one. Good shadows and tones and everything. And then the water droplets. Now, if I were to edit this in Lightroom, I'd probably compress the dynamic range a little bit so that the whites are a little bit whiter. Um, in fact, I think I might have that. So you get a little stronger contrast, but I didn't have to do anything else. I just compressed the histogram a little bit, in the curves. It was a very simple, where's, do I have it? Yeah, this one. This one I just compressed it a little bit so the highlights stand out a little better. Um, but yeah, I don't know why I like this one so much. I'm just impressed with myself. I don't know. uh, this one's okay. Yeah, I just thought it was kind of neat how these bluebells are falling on top of the leaves. And oh God, this is horrible. This is, I think, a pop art filter. Oh my God. Somebody had a bow tie sitting on this sign, so I took a picture of that. And then this also is straight out of camera, but I used the flash, my Godox TT350, and I popped a flash on it to get sort of that very dark black background. And as many of you know, I have a tutorial on how to do this kind of photography. It's very, very easy to do. As opposed to like this, which is all natural light. If you pop a flash, you can get a nice black background, good strong colors and detail. Because, flash brings out all of the textures and things. And this is another flash shot straight out of camera. Not quite as nice as the other one, but uh, these look like they bloomed a little more. Or the angle I took it at. I don't know what these are, but these flowers look like somebody pulled your teeth and hung them on a string. um, so I don't know. And then this is the one Plato was talking about. He liked this. This is a tree that blooms in my front yard every year. It's all green now. It was only like this for about 3 days, and then we had a windstorm and it blew all the petals off. But I did a live comp, and you can tell because the tree is blurry, and you can see the sky is all stretched out like these clouds up in the corners. Um, I forget how long this was. This was maybe 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes of live comp. And then, yeah, the rest of it is just crap. All right. Anyway, so that's my Flickr. Uh, and then, oh, there's Thomas. See what Thomas is up to. Yep, doing some woodland just like me. Cool. Anyhow, uh, oh, which button? Come on. I gotta get. There, there we go. Let me pull everything up. So that's what I've been doing the last couple of days. Um, all right, let me go back and see if there's some questions here because I just was showing you guys what I've been doing. Uh, I should create a new feature on snafus for YouTube, jibber jabber. I figured out by clicking on my videos it was the wrist strap metal connection. Oh, good. Yeah, there was. I figured it was the straps on your camera because the sound was too close to the microphones. Because if it was clickety clacking like that in your car, that loud, you would have pulled over to figure out what it is. But if it's just clickety clacking on the straps, it's going to sound loud in the microphones, but not to your ears because it's very tiny. It's a very small sound, right? So that was Randy. Um, where is 317? Wow, there's a lot of chat messages here. Let me back up to 311 when I came in. Uh, so this is what Randy was saying down here. Randy has a YouTube channel and he drives around in his car and talks about things going on and about what he's seeing. And he drives new places. And there was some clickety clack sound in one of his videos, so I just made a comment. You need to figure that out. I suspected it was the straps, but um, okay. And okay, that's about when I came in. Moises is here, awesome. And that was Robert Welsh. I did answer that one. Rick Bear, hello. And Soft Fun has a question. I'm thinking of upgrading my Lumix 14mm pancake lens for the Olympus 12mm f2. Do you think it's worth it? Not really. The 14mm pancake is an awesome lens. Now, if you do video work, yeah, you have to upgrade to a 12mm because the video autofocus with that Lumix is pretty bad. Um, if you're going to rely on autofocus. But if you're talking about just for photography, I wouldn't do it just for 2 more millimeters and spend $500 or however much they're going for now. You know, if you need a wider shot, just take 2 pictures and stitch them back in software. That's a lot cheaper than buying another lens. I'll tell you that. Because that's what I do sometimes if I need a wider shot. Because it happens a lot with my 14mm, my 14 to 150. Sometimes I need a wider shot. I'll just take 2 pictures and then stitch them back later. And, even though I have wide angle lenses, I don't bring them with me most of the time. I just bring the 14 to 150 and maybe a prime like I did today. And, but if you need a wider angle, consider, consider the 9 to 18mm, right? I don't know if you really need an f2 or not, unless you're doing indoor low light type shots. But the 9 to 18mm is a much wider lens, and definitely worth the $400 or $500. That would be the way I go um, if I were in your shoes. Like I said, unless we're talking about video work, then the 12mm f2 is awesome. And what does John say? When I upload my images after an outing and review them on the computer, I often ask myself, what could I possibly have been thinking? Yes. Oh, I tell you. I took 148 pictures today. And most of it was because I was hand holding and reaching, extended out, and I can't see the live view that clearly. So I take a picture and chimp it to see if I got the composition and lighting the way I want. If not, then I had to take it again. And I was constantly changing settings in the camera just to get the right look. Uh, Dang it, where's number Yeah, 2 and 3 this one. So this is like today's stuff, right? Um, and these are just the raw images. There's a lot of crap, you know, like I, well, I don't know what I was doing there or here. That one's okay. I mean, this one I kind of liked the way this was bending down. Audrey actually noticed this, but it didn't really pan out too well. I actually kind of like this image, but that there's the raw. The raw has to generate, but it's just a little bit too busy in the background. So I had some. Forget about the raws. I used all the JPEGs straight out of camera. But I thought this came out pretty nice. Um, it has a sepia tone to it, which I removed just by that. But um, okay, and let's see, David Crooks, how are you? Yeah, you know, David, I went out with Audrey this morning to do another photo walk over there at Riverbend. But it got, man, the clouds came out right away. Like the sky, blue skies came out. It was bright and sunny. So the lighting was threw me off. I was expecting a cloudy day today, like we had yesterday. And it just threw off my mojo. I just couldn't I was not on my game today. Uh yeah. I have not had my Pfizer vaccine yet, Rick. I don't know. My county in particular is way behind. My state is way behind a lot of places. My mom got hers like her second shot a couple of weeks ago, and she's 70 some years old. She should have gotten it a lot sooner. So I don't know. I have my name registered at 3 different places to get my shot, and all three have not contacted me. Um, let's see. Over 80s. Dutchman breeches. I guess that's something one of the pictures I showed earlier. And whoops, I clicked the wrong one. This one, right? Steve says, Matty Salanto did an interesting review of the Leica M10 monochrome. Gorgeous images. It produced sharper images than a Bayer Matrix. Would be a dream camera for me, but no, yeah. It's easier to buy one that's been converted, right? You buy a converted camera. I think they have some Olympus converted cameras if it's available where you are and they ship to whatever country you're in. But I've thought about doing it, either buying one that's been converted. You can find them on eBay, or converting one that I own already. I mean, if you buy one that's converted, it's like $1,000. It's not like 10,000 like an M10. Oh man, I don't know who buys those kinds of things or who can afford them. I just, oh, I guess a lot of people. When I was driving out to the park today, there was many, man, every home was multi-million dollars. I mean, they were beautiful. They got like a pond in their front yard. They got these big columns on the front of their house, and there's horses running around their yard. I mean, it's like millions of dollars for those homes. And I'm going to the park, that for free because I'm so cheap and poor. Um, those are the people that probably buy that camera. But yeah, it does look nice. And I think what he was referring to about the Bayer matrix is when you strip away the Bayer matrix, every pixel, a Bayer matrix being red, green, and blue color filters on top of the sensor for each pixel. And if you take away the Bayer sensor, you're supposed to get like 3 times as many pixels available for taking the image, so they appear much sharper than a standard black and white image that you would take with the same camera that might have the Bayer matrix still on it. And they look good. I mean, but I'm content with what I can get just straight out of camera. I don't, we don't need to work that hard or spend that much money to get a good image, right? Getting a good image is really all about the right timing, composition, line, form, lighting, uh, all that stuff, right? And has very little to do with the gear. I I'm just convinced, there's a lady in our photo club that wants to get an Olympus, or wants not an Olympus, but wants a smaller, lighter camera. She's shooting with like a 1DX right now, a Canon 1DX, and she likes shooting with her uh, 70 to 200 f2.8. So that's not a small rig, right? And next time I see her, I was going to just let her borrow my, EM5 Mark III with a 40 to 150 kit lens and say, shoot away with it, see if you like it, you know. Um, Sorry, it keeps jumping on me. Marcia's here. Hi, Marcia. And watching in Dursley, UK. Oh, I answered that. Here's a question from Steve Worthington. Is GIMP Post any good? Seems more website design. I don't know what GIMP Post is. I know there's a GIMP software for photo editing, which a lot of people swear by. I used it many years ago and it was fine, but I don't know what GIMP Post is. I'm sorry. I think GIMP is a combination vector art software and pixel level. Like I can't think of the right vocabulary, but a lot of people use it. But I think you're better off just getting a dedicated editing software. If you use Olympus, just use Olympus Workspace. That's going to be a lot easier to use than something like GIMP. The learning curve on GIMP is a little bit steep because it has so many things in it, right? Just tons of things. But I haven't used it in a long, long time, so I can't really speak to it. Sorry. Uh, Marco has a question for the group. Does anyone have experience pre-ordering a lens from Olympus store on Amazon? I don't know. I've never done it myself, Marco. And Richard says sometimes it's the snapshots that come out the best. That's so true. It's always the snapshots that come out, and then it's always like the shot that you get on your way out. Like, I'm going to take one more picture and then leave. And that ends up being the best one, right? Oops, there was a question here. It says, when you use touchscreen to focus, do you use autofocus or manual focus? I use autofocus, so when I touch on the screen, it focuses on where I touched. If I need to, I'll manually focus, but that I don't bother with the touchscreen if I'm manually focusing. I do, however, use the magnify feature and then manually focus. So if I'm manually focusing, because there's a couple of ways to use the touchscreen. You can touch the autofocus, so wherever you touch on the screen, it'll autofocus on that point. And then the other way is if I'm using the magnify function, I can touch the area that I want to magnify, and then once I magnify it, I'll use the manual focus to make sure I nailed focus on the exact spot that I want. So those are the two ways that I use it. There's a third way where you can touch the screen and then half press the shutter button or back button focus to autofocus on the point that you touched on the screen. And then there's another one where you can touch the screen and it'll autofocus on that point and take the picture for you. So there's really many ways to use the touchscreen. But for the most part, if I'm going to autofocus, I'll just use the D-pad and move the focus point to where I want it, and then take the picture. If I'm going to manually focus, I'll use the touchscreen to move the magnify window to where I want to magnify, then manually focus. Those are the two ways I use it. And David Crook says, doctors and lawyers buy Leicas. Yeah. And what the heck is going on with Errol? You're cleaning a house or something, and then everybody's jumping on that. Okay, Leicas are like Rolexes. You don't buy it because it tells time better than Casio. Yes, that's true. It's all about the experience of shooting Leicas, right? And oh, here's an answer from Andrew to Steve. GIMP is not a raw developer. After developing converting to TIFF, it can do anything Photoshop can. Okay. Um, you don't use Leicas, you wear them. Okay. I'm almost caught up, I think. DeMorgan says, I debadged a Leica so no one would know what it was, but I needed it at the time for one lens that paid for itself. Wow. Yeah, GIMP. Here's another one on GIMP Post. I knew you guys would know more than me on this. You know, I use Olympus Workspace, and then sometimes I use Lightroom mainly to import the images, but then I use Workspace most of the time to edit. Or I'll do a quick edit in Lightroom if I just need to adjust the EV or something. But like I said, I'm too lazy to do too much editing in post processing. And then thank you, Andrew. It links me and Cult Raw. Yeah, Raw Therapy is a good free photo editor. I'm struggling with it a little personally because it has so many features in it, just like GIMP does. But Raw Therapy I know will import Olympus RAW images directly, and you can work with them. I but I'm still struggling with the simplest things to do in Raw Therapy. And there's lots of tutorials on Raw Therapy, but like I said, I'm not a hardcore post-processing guy. I mean, I know how to do a few things that I like to do, and that's about it. Um, New iPad models are supposed to come out next week. Uh, I just bought a freaking iPad. I've used it a few times. You know, that was the dumbest thing I ever bought. Because they're not cheap. It was like $1,000 or something. Howdy, Rob. I corrected my splash drink. Okay. I emailed you today, maybe about an hour ago, Mr. Vacation. I can't remember what it was about, but I do remember your name. I emailed you about something. Um, and Rick says, snapshots are often your best shots because you're shooting on instinct. Everything you've learned about photography comes into play. Think too hard and you miss a shot. Yes. And Scott Mumford says, thoughts on using 8mm fisheye pro for astrophotography? I have plans to give it a try. Yes, it's awesome. I used it recently. I'll show you one shot. I didn't get a Milky Way shot because it's a little bit too early in the summer. Later in the summer, I can do some Milky Way shots, maybe like in June, based on my location. But um, where's, did I even post it? Yeah, here it is. Okay, I will get the right button. There. I did that with 8mm fisheye. I think this is about 20 or 30 minutes using live comp, and it's awesome. Tack sharp. This lens is amazing. Um, but if you want to do Milky Way shots and things, you can get it in one shot if you're in a very, very dark sky. Um, but yeah, this is about a 20 or 30-minute live comp shot. And also Ben Chappelle, who has the narrowband channel on YouTube, uses the 8mm fisheye. So you might want to check his YouTube to see if he's got anything new on that lens, using that lens to capture the Milky Way. But yeah, everybody uses, a lot of people use that lens, 8mm fisheye for astrophotography. No question. I can't get this button right. And that's primarily why I bought it. Actually, was for work and astrophotography. Oh, GIMP runs on Windows 7. Lightroom, etc., only runs on Windows 10. Oh, okay. So if you're using an older operating system, you might be limited to uh, certain software, right? That makes sense. But I'd be curious about. Oh, sorry. I'd be curious about if it'll import raw images into GIMP directly. If not, then you'll have to convert your raw images to TIFF, and I'm pretty sure those will work in GIMP. Um, and Henrik is asking, do you have any suggestions for dry boxes for lenses? It's humid here in Atlanta. Worth it? Not just use silica gel packs? Um, Silica gel packs are definitely the cheapest way to go, but you have to buy the ones that change colors when they're exhausted, right? And then you have to reheat them, and it's too much of a hassle. I don't use anything for my stuff, but I can tell you that I have lenses that have gotten fungus in them. Not my Olympus lenses, thank God, but some of my Nikon glass is ruined. Some of my 50mm lenses and stuff. So, and I looked into buying those little refrigerators, and they're silent. They use some kind of piezo or some kind of new, not new, but some kind of silent dehumidifying technology, and they're not that expensive. 100 to 200 bucks, depending on the size. That's a lot cheaper than having to replace a lens because it got fungus in it. So I'm thinking about buying one very soon because right now the humidity hasn't quite hit here yet. I'm still in the low 40s and 50%. But as it gets warmer, that 40 and 50% humidity is very humid, right? Because warm air holds more water in it, so that's why they call it relative humidity. Um, so I'm thinking about getting one this summer myself. Just a wine cooler size, something like that I can keep my lenses in. Because yeah, I finally feel like I've settled on a system that I'm going to use for life, right? And I want to have my lenses forever and ever. Um, so I think it's definitely a good investment to get one. The silica gel packs, like I said, they're just very inconvenient. Unless you get the ones that change color once they're exhausted, it's hard to tell if it's still protecting the humidity or dryness of your gear. And it's messy, and the little plastic silica balls fall out and get in your bag. It's just, oh my God. I just want a simple solution, you know. And those humidity cabinets don't use much electricity. I think they're only like 30 watts. They're very low voltage or wattage, so they're not going to drive up your electric bill either. So that's what I would recommend. I'm gonna look in. If when I get one, I'll tell you guys. Uh, I'll tell you guys which one I got and if it's working. You know, they're useful for making jerky. That's funny. Racket, that is rubbish. It's 50%. I don't know what you're talking about. And post processing is for people that can't take good enough photos to start with. Okay. I think that's arguable, right? Because a lot of times post processing is an artistic or creative process. It's not because you didn't get the exposure correct in camera, but you want to make changes to the image, dramatic changes, right? Now, if you're trying to correct a picture that you did poorly on because you don't know how to take a correct exposure, or you don't understand lighting and the limits of your camera, yeah, definitely don't do post processing because you don't want to develop your skill set as a photographer. I 100% agree with that. But I think saying post processing, I don't think it's fair to make a blanket statement like it's for people that don't take good enough photos to start with. I would qualify that just a little bit more and say that um, if you don't take the time to learn the limits of your camera and understand how to get the correct picture and rely on post processing, that's a mistake. If you use post processing as a creative process to enhance your photos, to make them more artsy fartsy or to make them more what you were thinking when you took the shot, because sometimes you can't bracket a shot, you know, to capture all the dynamic range in the scene. So you have to do some post processing to get it at least closer. So but yeah, that is a very common argument that you're not because you don't know how to use your camera or take a good exposure or get the exposure you want in your camera, you're relying on post processing. I 100% agree that would be a mistake. Um, but but yeah, I don't think it's fair to make it a blanket statement. But yeah, fair enough though. Uh, and Emilius has asked a question to the group, I guess. Does anyone use Affinity Photo? They have a 50% discount currently, but JPEG exporters find it look bad compared to the PS ones. Anybody have a solution for this? I don't use Affinity. I know it's very popular, and I think there's another thing that um, you have to do the 30-day trial and see, right? And see if the software performs to your expectations. And if you want to compare it to another software, you have to try a 30-day trial on another one, right? I think just about everyone that is credible will give you a 30-day free trial. That said, me personally, I use the Photoshop. I mean, I use Olympus Workspace most of the time, but Photoshop and Lightroom, I have the subscription service because time to time I do need to use it for my professional work. Because I bracket shots and I use Flash, and it's complicated. And Photoshop is the only thing that can handle that kind of process for me. Um, so I would say, from my point of view, you can't go wrong if you buy Photoshop Elements, which is like it's on sale for like $69 all the time. That's an excellent software, in my opinion. And Affinity and Luminar and all other softwares may be very competent, very good as well. I just don't have any experience with them. But I do have experience with Photoshop Elements, Photoshop with subscription, and Lightroom. But the Photoshop Elements has just about everything the subscription service does, but you only pay one time. The only downside is that in a couple of years, if you buy another camera, it may not be compatible with the raw images of that camera. At which point, because that's what happened to me, at which point you have to start converting your raw images to DNG, digital negative files. And you can do that for free, but it's just an extra step, right? So that you can continue to use your $69 software. And a lot of third-party software is not too different from that. At some point, sometimes your camera is not, you buy a new camera and it's not compatible with that software, so you have to pay an upgrade fee, right? I mean, I can't predict the future, what every company is going to do, but I know that happened with Luminar. Like they gave me version 3.0 for free, and I never use it, but now now I haven't used it, so I can't even say if it even if it'll even import my EM1 Mark III files. I haven't even tried it. But that's what happened to me with Photoshop Elements. I used Photoshop Elements, God, back in 2012, 2013, and by 2015, I had to switch to Lightroom because it wouldn't let me import my new camera. And then when I switched to Lightroom 5, that wouldn't let me import my new cameras with Olympus, because that's when I started shooting Olympus. So I had to switch to the subscription service so that I could import my raw images into Lightroom and Photoshop. But anyhow, there are workarounds with Adobe Photoshop to convert them to DNGs, and you can use the software indefinitely at that point. Okay. And Mr. says, I have a Nikon D70 that won't read the flash card on any clues. Oh, yes. If you're talking about you put the flash card in the camera and it won't recognize the card, either the card is bad or the camera is defective. So you have to figure out which one is bad. One or the other is bad. I don't think it's more complicated than that, to be honest. Most likely it's the card. The flash card is bad. And SoftFun says, can you assign HDR mode to a button on the EM1 Mark III? Yes, you can. 5-frame 2EV, not HDR1 or 2. Yes, I do that. You definitely can. I would show you, but I don't know where my camera is. Where is it? Let me switch to my whatever view they call this, wide angle shot. Where's my camera? Okay, I found it. While I was thinking about it, actually, I don't think I assigned a button to it. I assigned a custom mode. But let me check real quick. Put a memory card. I'm pretty sure you can, but I'll make sure. But I do use the okay, so menu, button, button function, HDR, and then HDR to HDR. What did you say? 5 frames 2 EV? Okay. So if I push, which one did I program again? I'll show you. I just want to do it off camera first. Yeah, the plus or minus. All right. So if I do this, yeah. All right. So it's very easy. Let me switch over. All right. Zoom in. That's not zoomed in enough. Where's my other lens? Ooh, man, almost knocked the table over. I gotta lose some weight. Let me swap. Let me get a lens that will zoom in close enough. Voila. All right, and then Control 5. There we go. So focus, 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 focus. There we go. And dial in a little more exposure comp. All right, so basically you just go into the menu, this menu B1 button function, and I assign the exposure comp button, this one here, to HDR. So you just scroll until you see it like that, right? So let me get in a little closer. And you click OK, click OK. And then what you have to do is go into shooting menu 2, HDR, and then set which HDR you want that button to activate. So you want 5 frames like that, right? And that's it. And then if I push, so right now you see the HDR icon right here, and if I push this button again, I'm gonna push the plus minus button, right? See how that HDR icon comes on, push it again, it comes off. So now it toggles the HDR on and off. So now that it's on and I push the button, you should be able to hear it. There, 5 shots. Okay. Uh, let's see. Where did we leave off? Can you guys see, like right here, I'm scrolling up trying to find. Okay, so we're at 350. Servant says I have a 6 foot by 4 foot safe that keeps humidity out. Oh yeah. Man, that's a heck of a that's a heck of a safe, man. Ain't nobody stealing anything from you. That thing must weigh a ton. Holy smokes. And whoops, wouldn't a vacuum sealing be cheaper than a fridge? I don't know. Because I don't think you can completely vacuum seal your camera and lenses. I guess in theory that would work, but you'd have to vacuum seal it every time you wanted to whatchamacallit. Let me push the right button. You'd have to vacuum seal and unseal every time you wanted to use your gear. That's just as bad as using those little silicone packets, in my opinion. I mean, if 100 or 200 bucks is within your budget, it's way better just to get a fridge, I believe. And I see Arthur McPhee is here. Hi, Arthur. How you doing? I see you have some comments. I'm almost there. Oh, you are next. Post-processing is like an artist mixing his colors. Why would you limit your imagination and results? Yeah, that's all it is. You're just being more creative with your shots. It doesn't mean you took a bad shot to begin with. You just want it to be something else than what the camera delivered, right? And let's see. 352. I'm trying to keep up here. I spent a little bit of time on that HDR thing. Yeah, I was kind of thinking along these lines, right? If you vacuum seal your lenses, the biggest problem for me would be the uh, the hassle of sealing them and unsealing them and resealing them every time you wanted to use them. But I think Ed makes a good point that when you seal it, you might be causing damage to the lens too. Well, let's not go there. I think it's just better if you can just get a regular dehumidifier safe. And Arthur has more. It says post-processing isn't just about correcting, it's about creating a final result you had in your mind's eye for those who understand visioning, not just snapping. Yes, I agree. Post-processing is generally should be more than just trying to fix a photo. If you're going to do post-processing, you want to that's when you go into that creative process, right? And yeah, and Rick leans based on this response to Racketmeister. Rick is leaning towards getting it right in camera, which I think should always be the goal. Ultimately, get it the best you can in camera, and learn how to do that. That should always be first priority, and then the post processing comes in to help you out a little more or be more creative. But yeah, I would lean more on Rick and Racketmeister in that, yeah, get it right in camera as much as you can. Then use post processing either as a just a fine tuning or a creative tool. And what is this? Agree with you. Sometimes know where the camera won't be able to cope, so exposing to the right allows you to bring back detail that wouldn't be shown if you just use a straight JPEG. Yes, always try to shoot raw too if you're going to do post processing. Um, It's not much fun to post-process a JPEG image, I can tell you that. Uh, oh, and here's some feedback about Affinity. Errol says, I use Affinity and like it better than Elements. Okay, so there you have it. You know, and Affinity is certainly cheaper. But I think Elements adds some data asset management tools as well. Uh, but I don't have a side-by-side comparison of the two softwares. But I don't see why Affinity would be any worse than anything else, right? It should be equally as good if you know how to use it. Yeah, and Plato says 9 times out of 10, my best shots need little to no post-processing besides the very basic things. Yeah, mine too, but that's because I'm lazy. They end up being, you know. And good morning, Andreas. Good to see you. And DeMorgan, let's see. Last year when things were closed, I did a 30-day. Oh, here's some feedback. I did a 30-day trial on C1, DxO, and others. Then did Topaz 3-day trials of some of their products. I knew what to buy for me in the end. Yes, because sometimes it's not about what it's capable of, but uh, does the workflow go smoothly for you, right? Is the structure and workflow of the software compatible with your brain? Uh, and I've been using Photoshop and Photoshop Elements, for so long. It's hard for me to go to another software. Um, I mean, even Olympus Workspace took me a lot of practice, but I forced myself to use it, and now I know it upside down and backwards. But yeah, when I tried, like, raw therapy is a good example. I struggled trying to figure out how to use it. And yeah, this is I'm sorry. I should have like something in the background moving, because I've gotten so good at just like being one of those statues on the street, those people, right? Where they're shaking your hand. I mean, they're just you can't tell if the stream is frozen or not, right? I'll give that some thought. Maybe have some moving background instead of this plain old thing. This is a cool screen. Let me show you guys one. What is this? This will work. What if I move it there? Um, no, I don't want to give somebody a seizure. Let's see what this one is. Oh, this one's pretty benign. So if I move it up there, there we go. That's a pretty benign background, right? So even if I stop moving, if I freeze, the video is still live, right? The green screen needs a little work though. There's some artifacts here. Uh, and Emilio says, thanks, I'll look into PS Elements. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Um, John Matthews says, in my opinion, subscription models are the most expensive way to post-process. I'll never do it. Yeah, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that feel that way. I just could not figure out how to do it in any other software what I need to do. Otherwise, I would ditch the subscription model, just buy something and use it. But I just couldn't figure out how to do what I need to do in anything else. So I was pretty much forced to buy the subscription. What's this? I'm reading. What's this? Rob claims he's in a small room. We know it's a hangar when he walks away to find cameras and lenses. It sounds like a hangar. That's because I got old wood floors in my house. But trust me, it's not that big. I think it's only 1,200 square feet total on the first floor. And then the basement's kind of finished, semi-finished, another 600 square feet. But that's it. And it's a freaking disaster. It looks like a tornado hit my basement. God, I gotta clean my house so bad. And Mr. Vacation, do you like photos on metal and why? I've never printed anything on metal. I don't think I've even seen anything on metal in my life. I've heard about it. I've seen pictures of it online, but I've never seen one in person. Dang it, there's a question here. Morgan says, I had the use of an EM5 Mark III. Is there an easy way to get C2, C3 modes? Also, if you use C and then S, how much of the C setting do you lose? Uh, the way I understand it is if you program, there's no way to get to C2 and C3 other than through the menu. They need to fix that in a firmware update so we can assign C2 and C3 to the mode dial and replace, where is that camera? It's on, I can't see it from here. But yeah, there's no way to do it right now. And then when you go from C mode back to say S mode or aperture mode, it's not going to use or remember anything that you had set up in C mode. It's going to go back to what you had set up before when you had A mode. So I would show you. Where's my? Oh, I'm a dumbass. Right now, this camera here is my EM5 Mark III that I'm using. This is my EM5 Mark II. It's my EM10 Mark II. My Pen F. I used to think I had a lot of cameras, but not anymore. My EM1 Mark III, my EM1 Mark II is filming me over here. My Pen PL8, still love this camera. Anyway, who has more cameras than me? I forget. I saw something. I think it's Marcus Pix. That guy. That guy has a lot of stuff. I'm like I don't know. I'm on camera welfare compared to that guy. Let me tell you, that guy has a lot of cameras. Now there are some settings when you go from when you program your custom modes, and I can't think off the top of my head what they are, that don't get saved, right? Like I just can't remember. They're minor things though, kind of. When you recall C2 and C3, sometimes something you changed while you were in C1 does carry over. It might be like the highlight shadows. No, it's not that. It's something very minor. There's little things that I'll have to do like in a fine print series or video on that. Sit down and log in and write down exactly what gets saved and what does not get saved when you save things to the custom setting. Because there are certain things that do get lost or don't get saved when you save the custom settings. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But that'll be a good video for a fine print series, right? Because it's messed me up in the past. I'm like, why is this changed or not changing? You know, I thought I saved it, and but the short answer to your question is generally you don't lose anything. Anything you programmed in C mode won't carry over when you go to another mode like S. Okay. I'm falling behind. Okay, anybody that asked me a question before 4:03 p.m., I can't see it anymore. It's been wiped off the memory here. Uh, and David has some feedback about the metal prints. A gentleman in my camera club bought a couple of big metal prints from Bay Photo, like a 30 by 40, 40 by 60 for his dining room. Okay. Anything more to add to that? Maybe. Did he like the prints after he ordered them? Because you can order the prints. You may not like them, though. Let's see. Rick has some feedback. To ensure no humidity, bake your camera and lenses in the oven at 200°C for 30 minutes. You'll never, just the same, your kit will have melted. Yeah. God, every time I think about plastic melting, it reminds me of the ghost story that happened to me. I don't know if I told you guys my ghost story. I don't know about the plastic melting. Back in the film days, you had to get the right camera, get it right, yeah, get it right in camera. Yeah, the professionals, what they did, I guess when it became available, they used Polaroids, right? The ones that used to have to peel to get the test shots, and then they would do the settings on the actual film that they were going to give to the client. I always thought that was an interesting process. And thank you so much, Jeff Painter. Okay. And Soft Fun has some feedback about Affinity. He went back to Lightroom and Photoshop. Okay. I mean, I get that. I would be struggling learning a new software. I did try Affinity. I tried the 30-day thing and I could not get it to do what I needed it to do. So I had to stay with Photoshop. But I didn't do much. I didn't do much testing with Affinity outside of a very specific thing that I need to get done. Because if it could do what I needed it to do at that time, I would have just bought it and forget about Lightroom Photoshop subscription. Because the other editing stuff, highlights, shadows, colors, all that is good enough. That's just simple math for any photo editing software. You're just dealing with RGB values, right? So any photo editing software can handle that. But the certain workflow that I need to do in my professional work, I could not do in Affinity at the time. It may have changed since then because this was over probably 2 years ago when I looked at it. But at the time, it could not do what I wanted to do. And I want to test it again. Affinity and what's the other one? Luminar. But the problem is, I've already used the 30-day trial from a year or 2 years ago. It won't let me load it in again for another 30-day trial after, a couple of years, which is beyond me. Why, I don't understand why. They should let you, after 1 year, try it again for 30 days. Because there's so many updates that can happen in a year, right? But I just couldn't. Sorry, I didn't mean to show that, John. My bad. I'm used to double clicking, and then when I double click, like these random chat things pop up. The artifacts on the right are a bit distracting, yes. Let me see if I can just adjust that a tiny bit. If not, I'll just turn it off. There. How about just a black screen? Oh, you know what doesn't have artifacts is this is a cool thing, but it might be more distracting than the uh let me see. How come it won't? Okay, browse, 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 browse. This one is good, and well, how about fireworks? Why is that not showing? Ah, because it's too dark. How about this? Or, man, you can just barely see this. Is that because of my filter? Ooh. Um, Dang it, I'm sorry. I'm going to stop messing with this. Let me just get it back to the default settings. I'll figure this green screen thing out one day. Um, it's weird that it's not showing. How about these stars? Wow, that's so weird. I don't know why this isn't brighter. Stop it. It's like the opacity's turned way down. How do I turn this off? Dang it. Off, off. Now why? Oh, because I gotta move that down this way. That's so weird. How about that? No, that's not what I want. Am I losing everybody? I don't want this. Just something simple like this. All right, good enough. Uh, this one is very dark, so there's not much artifacts. I kind of like that. Marcus Pix is a character. Yes, he is. He's hilarious. Says when I was programming special displays, I seem to recall that 7 to 10 updates or blinking was bad. Not sure what you're talking about, Chuck. Sorry. Um, Mr. Vacation, where's a good place to buy lenses for mirrorless? If you don't have access to if you don't have access to a local camera store, then try and buy it directly from the manufacturer. If you're trying to get a good deal, try and find a good seller on eBay, I guess. But it really depends on what country you're in and who will ship to your country. If you're in the United States, you have a lot of choices, right? MPP, Robert's Camera, and then directly from Olympus. There's a lot of good options. eBay even. B&H Photo has a good used camera section. I'm sure Adorama does as well. So those are all different places, but it really depends on where you are. John Allen has about 8 cameras. Man, I got you beat by a few. And if we count my film cameras, I got you beat by a lot. I don't know why I have so many cameras. And Richard has some advice for you, Mr. Vacation. Do a Google search to find the lens you want at the price you want. Then Google the store for reviews to see if it's a good dealer. Yeah. Basically, you have to do your due diligence, like on eBay or anywhere you buy from. You have to make sure they're a reputable source. And the only, if you cannot do that on, because I know it's difficult, right? It can be difficult to find out if this is a good place to buy from. Then you have to rely on your friends or other people that have bought stuff and ask them where they bought it and try and get it from the same place if they had a good experience. Um, yeah, yeah, you always have to be as careful as you can and do all your due diligence. Oh, Marco says it doesn't ring a bell. 420. That must be my ghost story. Okay, I'll tell that towards the end. I'll save that to the end because it's not really photography related. Mr. Vacation, I use MPB. Oh, here we go. John is, yeah, KEH and eBay, but I'm pretty careful about eBay. Just got a new EM10 on eBay case for about 300, but that was after a lot of looking. Yeah, eBay is the Wild West, man. You have to do a lot of due diligence on the seller. Generally, generally sellers that have uh, what's the I can't remember. Let me. There's a certain status. Let me look at it real quick. I'll tell you. If you want to buy on eBay, you can buy on eBay from about any country. Um, let's do the 75 millimeter f1.8 and okay, you see this right here where it says top rated plus. It's not it's not a guarantee, right? But it's a very important indication that this seller is dedicated to providing you the best service possible, meaning the description. Let me go back to my normal screen. The description that they give of the item's condition, like in this one, it said brand new, and the delivery time that they promise that they're going to deliver, if it's going to be free returns, all of that stuff, everything that they say in the description and promise to you, they're very committed to that because if they get too many negative reviews, right, they're going to lose that top rated status. And that's a big deal for sellers that sell a lot of stuff because they get a discount when you become a top rated status seller, right? And as a top rated status seller, instead of paying, say, 10% eBay fee to eBay, they only pay 5%. So they're saving, I don't know exactly what the numbers are. It's been too long. I think I was top rated for a very small window years ago. But if you lose that status, you lose a lot of money, like 5%, right? And the margins are so thin on eBay that that 5% can be the difference between you being in business and being able to sell on eBay versus you not being able to make a profit on eBay. So if you see top rated plus or top rated status of any kind by this on the seller, it's a pretty safe bet. You're going to get what you pay for based on and get it when they say you're going to get it. So the long and short of it is that, I mean, you still have to do more due diligence and research and make sure that the top rated status is earned and all of that. But a quick go-to for buying products on eBay is just buy from top rated seller and you should be okay. And then eBay has its own built-in protections as well. Uh, and metal prints are amazing. I think the picture determines the final print. Some are better for canvas for that old world look. Okay, thank you, Scott. And David Crooks is also adding, he showed them in the dining room and they look good. They do get expensive the bigger you go, like 200 bucks each. Okay. So yeah, metal prints sound good. But if you're going to do a metal print, do a small one first and see if you like how it looks, right? You know, and then if you really like how it looks, you know, then get some big ones. But yeah. And back in the old days, we used talented printers like Robin Bell who would post-process for us to create the perfect prints. Oh, okay, that's interesting. And Mr. Vacation says, I've used B&H Photo. Yeah, B&H Photo should be pretty reliable. And you just have to use another email address. I can't even remember what that was for. What I was trying to do that I would need that. And yes, at Rob Trek, we used a lot of Polaroids back in the day. Even the 20 by 16 studio camera, we used 5 by 4 Polaroids to establish the exact exposure and adjust the lighting according expensive. Yeah, yeah. Polaroids weren't cheap either, right? And then never mind the 20 by 16 film if you get that wrong. So yeah, all expensive stuff. I mean, I remember watching a video about lighting, but it was a really old video, and the guy was using film. But once he got all his lighting set up, he took his Polaroid out, took a picture, tore the thing off, and looked at it, And they were explaining that's how he checked his exposure with all the lighting he set up before he used his large format camera, just like what Rick is saying here. And Soft Fun says, I used Luminar for years. It's gone buggy. Much prefer Nick collection. Okay. And Steve says, thanks for the advice, Rob. Will try to make GIMP work for me, but seems overcomplicated for. Yeah, it's got so many things in it, right? GIMP. Oh, Darko, how are you? Yes, I'm doing well. My neck is a little stiff, but it's nothing like it was a month ago. I'm much better now. Thank you. And at Rob Trick, my cat Magrat, love the black on black pictures of black cat on the. And let's see. Mark Mark Denemy just uploaded a YouTube video where he edited the same images as identically as possible in Lightroom, Capture One, and Photoshop and got demonstrably different results. Oh, that's interesting. I should watch that. I'm just out of curiosity. I'm not going to ever use Capture One because I've tried it. It has some issues for me. In workflow, got nothing. The software is awesome, but I can't use it. Um, and Walter, who is a Walter Rowe, who's a Capture One affiliate, has confirmed that he can't do what I do, what I need to do in Capture One. Um, that's interesting. Mark Markdenney, Lightroom. Oh, I know this guy. Yeah, this guy. Um, doesn't matter how you edit, Lan. Where is he? Yeah, this is the video, right? Okay, I'll watch this later. Awesome, thanks. Um, got a line on EM5 Mark II, sold my EM10 Mark II. Awesome. Yeah, EM5 Mark II is is better than the EM10 Mark II in every way except one. Okay? There's one thing that the EM10 Mark II is better at than the EM5 Mark II. I'm just curious if anybody knows what that is. If anybody knows what that is, just put it in the comments below and I'll confirm that. It may be something I don't know, but I know there's one thing. If you guys come up with something else, let me know. But there is one thing specifically that the M10 Mark II is better at. Um, but it's not a deal breaker. I would get the EM5 Mark II every time over an EM10 Mark II. 10 out of 10 times. Uh, yeah, David says, I bet there's many free. There are, no questionably, but the problem is, and I forget who it is now. Steve? Anyway, whoever was asking about GIMP, the problem is, David, that they want to use Windows 7, and a lot of these newer softwares don't work on Windows 7. So that's why he's stuck with GIMP for now. I'm sure he can find another one that might be better than GIMP, but without pulling your hair out trying to find some niche software that works with Windows 7. But I think that was the problem he was having. And let's see. Guzman says hello from Uruguay. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Simple question. The sharpest of a photo is in the center, but given composition rules, you don't use the main object in there. How do you know if the lens is not best? Okay, well that basically you have to know your lens, right? Most Olympus lenses, probably 99 out of 100, Olympus lenses and the Panasonic lenses, like first tier Olympus, Panasonic, you're not going to have any issues like what you're talking about, where it's not going to be as sharp in the corners. There's some exceptions, okay? But for the most part, if you buy a quality lens from Olympus or Panasonic for your Micro Four Thirds camera, you're not going to have this problem. Now, if you have a third-party lens or you're adapting a vintage lens where the corners are soft, right? The center is sharp, but from there on out it starts to get soft. You have to know your lens. And if you know the lens is soft outside of the center, you have to compose your images accordingly. There's no way around it that I can think of. But it's never been an issue for me with the lenses, because when I use Olympus or Panasonic lenses, they're always sharp across the frame. And for the lenses that I know might be a little soft in the corners, like my CCTV lenses, I don't compose uh, shots where I need the corners to be sharp, right? Um, I compose shots where only the center needs to be sharp. So landscapes, typically I'd like to do landscapes and other types of shots with my CCTV lens where having corner to corner sharpness is not important. So you have to know your lens would be my best answer. But I saw while I was scrolling a couple other answers, so let's see what they are. Um, Rick says, buy better lenses. I always tell the apprentice, you're better off owning just one superb lens than 5 or 6 mediocre lenses. So that's kind of the along the lines of what I was saying. You can buy cheaper lenses, but if you know it's soft in the corners, don't use that lens where you need corner to corner sharpness. And Richard says, Rob, buying cameras is much easier than selling them. I have far too many as well. Yeah, I know, right? Um, And someone's asking, what camera are you using? Most digital cameras have variable focus points. Um, yeah, but I'm not sure what you mean there. The easiest way is to shoot wider and crop in to keep the sharpness of the center. Well, that's excellent advice, actually, because I do that myself sometimes where, sometimes there's vignetting in the corners um, on certain lenses, really bad vignetting. Maybe sometimes because I'm using a lens hood that's too long, right? So I have to compose the shot wider so that I can crop it back in post. But what DeMorkin is saying is, shoot wider so that more of the stuff is in the center and then crop it back in. I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, it's a little bit of a trade-off because you lose some megapixels and you're going to get lower resolution, but the image will still be sharp. I mean, you can get sharp images with just, 2 megapixels, okay? You can get tack sharp images with 2 megapixels. So if you know only 2 megapixels in the center is sharp, just crop in all the way to 2 megapixels. It's okay. I mean, look at every picture online. Everything that you're looking online with a full HD monitor is a 2 megapixel image, basically. And they look tack sharp, right? So you're fine. But good advice. Good advice, DeMorgan. And DeMorgan, I know you posted another long thread on my forum. I'm going to read that one. I've read all of your other ones, and I really appreciate the tutorial or step-by-step thing about the doing the line art in Photoshop. I had a similar procedure, but there was a couple of things you did that I didn't even think about. And I found the charcoal filter was a little harsh, but I did read that one, and then I saw you put another one about getting sharpness, actually related to this other question too. Um, I just skimmed it, but I didn't actually read it. I skimmed it, so I'll definitely get to that. If you guys haven't been to my forum, robtrek.com/forum, DeMarkin contributes a lot there with very long posts and detail, drawing on all of his experience as a photographer over many years. He's been shooting probably since I was born. um, and dang it, Arthur. You guys are talking amongst yourselves there. I ended my stream and ended up. Oh, so hey, welcome to my stream. I don't think I've seen you here before. River Rat Skippy, welcome. And oops, God, I hate when that happens. Why? Why? Um, oh, thank you, David. Tilt screen. And here's a question from Sam, 440. How am I doing? I'm at 8 minutes. Okay. What would you use for power your OMD cameras when live streaming? Any suggestions that are cost effective? Yes. Um, I'm going to make an assumption that you have. If I can show you, let me see if I can just show you. Uh, let me detach this. Yeah, that's right. Oops, I need some exposure comp. All right, so this is my EM5 Mark II. So what camera do you have? OMD cameras. Well, anyway, this is like a $15 power bank, right? Just a simple USB power bank. 10,000 milliamp, and I paid like $15 for this. And then this is plugged into an adapter, right? Um, that plugs into a dummy battery that plugs into the M5 Mark II. So I don't know if that's going to show. I'm too close. But yeah, I have a dummy battery in the M5 Mark II. The dummy battery is $25, and then it was $15 for the power bank here, right? And so that's what, 40 bucks. And this power bank, I've been on for almost 2 hours, and it's only one bar has gone down. There's four light bars here. Only one has gone down. I know I've streamed or used it for about 4 hours, no problem. It'll probably do 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours no problem with an EM5 Mark III. I would imagine it'd be the same for the EM10. And you can buy dummy batteries for any of the OMD cameras. You just need to get the BLN1 for like your Pen Fs and EM5 Mark II. You have to get the BLS5 for the EM5 Mark III, the EM10 Mark II, and then you need whatever the EM1 Mark III is and the M1 Mark II. I forget what battery that's called. BLH1, I think. They sell dummy batteries for all our cameras. And I've been using this for a couple of months now with no issues, no problems with my EM5 Mark III using this setup. So I would assume it works. I don't have this setup for my other cameras, but I do use it for there we go. I do use it on the M5 Mark III for this the view that we just shot. So Amazon. I'll show you the exact thing too. This is it here. I'll give you a link. But see, $25 as you can see up here. And this is the BLS5, but they sell them for they sell different batteries. And it's plus or minus $5 depending which battery. If you can't get it here, you can get it on Alibaba or whatever that's called. I can't remember the name of that other site. But this is what I use for my EM5 Mark III. So let me give you a link real quick. If anybody wants this, this is the exact one that I've been using for a couple of months with no issue. So that's for Sam. And that's an affiliate link, so I'll make like 50 cents if you buy one. And delivery time is it usually takes about 3 weeks. Oh, 2 weeks. It takes about 2 weeks to get it when you order through Amazon. Okay. That was 40. You guys have given up on me. So now what I'm reading in comments, it doesn't look like the screen is frozen because I got this going on now, right? John Yutse says, I think sharpness overrated. Most current lenses are quite sharp, including consumer lenses. Yep, I agree. Never been here, but YouTube brought me here automatically, and I'd like to learn more about cameras, so I'd definitely stick around. Awesome. You know, when I talk about cameras, I try to answer questions. I don't really just jibber jabber on about how great cameras are. I love Olympus personally. This is my system for life is Olympus. But for as long as my cameras are working and for as long as they continue to sell them, you know, whichever comes last. In this case, I will be an Olympus user. Yes, this is my Pen F without a body cap. You're correct. Where's I used the body cap for something else. But I'll put a lens on it. There. Now we're back to form. Oh, well, there was a lens sitting here I could have put on it. And thanks, good suggestion with a good price point. Oh, you're welcome, Sam. Glad I could help. That's been working for me. And Marco says, power during streaming with EM1 plus battery grip and EM1X. They have a DC input jacks, and you can just plug in cheap power adapter to stream indefinitely as well. Yes, you can do that as well. If you have the grip for the M1s, they do have a DC input, and I think the M5 Mark II grip has a DC input. Uh, but the grips are expensive, so I don't know if that's really an affordable option, right? Grips are a couple $100. This is like $40. I mean, the best way to go is to go all original if you can, obviously, because there's no guarantees this stuff ain't gonna fry your camera. But it's worked for me, and Rob Trek has a whole series, and oh yeah, I do have a lot of videos. A lot of videos. If you're a total beginner, they're pretty good videos. If you're a very competent photographer, you might want to play it on 2x speed on YouTube. So I'll be talking twice as fast. If you're a complete beginner, you're probably pausing a lot my videos, right? Just to kind of follow along. If you're a fairly competent photographer already, I recommend put it on 2x speed when you watch. Save you some time. And then you'll pick up one or two little nuggets, that you might be able to use. So I always found no matter how much you think you know about a camera, you always learn something new. It might come from me, it might come from Robin or Peter or Jimmy or Joe, any one of those guys. It might come from somebody else that they tell you one little thing that you didn't know, and it's like, oh wow, I didn't know you could do that, right? And that's why my videos, like, because there's so many photographers here, they know a lot already. But then they'll watch my video, it'll be like 30 minutes long, but there's about a 30-second clip. They're like, a light bulb comes on. Oh, that's right. That's awesome, right? So, that's what keeps me going, I guess, on YouTube is every now and then I'll come up with a little nugget. Like I thought that last video I made about the priority set, yes and no. I thought that was pretty clever, but nobody commented on that. That was my favorite part of the video. Using the priority set. I mean, the copyright and contact info and all of that was just more of a mental exercise because ultimately, and the file naming sequence, because ultimately most people are going to use Lightroom or Photoshop or something to import their images, and all of that is kind of moot. But what happened to me, and the reason I felt it was, it was useful to have that kind of video, is when I started photography as a beginner, I had no idea what file names were, right? And I was just importing these file names all over the place in all different directories, all over my computer. And then about a year or two later, I needed to start consolidating all of my files back together. And I ended up with a lot of duplicate file names. And I ended up overwriting and deleting hundreds, if not thousands, of images because I was trying to delete duplicate files. And it turns out that some duplicate file finders only use the file name and date, to delete things. They don't read it bit by bit to make sure that they're actually different. They don't just have the same file name and date stamp, which happened a lot when you're copying files back and forth. Trust me. So that's why I made that video, because as a beginner, you may not be really fluent in data asset management, dealing with files and archiving and all of that stuff. So getting the file names correct and having a methodology to that and understanding the nomenclature will at least mitigate some of the problems that I had with file names and deleting files by accident because I was trying to get rid of duplicates when in fact, I was really... So that was kind of the motivation for that video and why I took my time with that part of it about the file naming. And let's see. Sharpness doesn't matter much, but I prefer Olympus lenses. Yes, me too. I like Olympus. And hit the like button. Oh, thank you, Marsh. Didn't mean to click on that, but I appreciate that. Hit the like button, buy me a coffee, support the channel, all that good stuff. You know, it helps me out every little bit. Um, River says, thank you, Rick. Awesome. And 87 watching. That's good. It doesn't matter to me if it's like one or two people watching or 1,000, you know. What I really enjoy is the interaction that I can have with people that are here. That's the most important thing in the stream, in my opinion, is interacting. That's why I try to keep up best I can. Um, what's this? Thanks to you, Rob. I also purchased Pen F and happy for Street. Yeah, this Pen F, man. This is still my number one camera. Uh, for shooting. I shot with this yesterday and today. I got about 10 hours on this camera this weekend of just photography. And I did it on two batteries, amazingly, using the quick sleep feature. Okay. Uh, which I have a video on. Not that specifically. I might have to do one specifically for that. But anyway. And Carrie has a website there. Check it out. Or car, I should say. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but Car Jensen, check his website out. And River says, I normally use my cell phone and my Canon 530 PowerShot. Yep, those are that's how most people do it with a cell phone. Maybe a pocket camera like the little 530, but um, I think it's fine for most people. You know, if you learn composition and lighting, and then learn the limits of what your cell phone or PowerShot cameras are, you can take good pictures, but ultimately, having a legitimate camera, you can really expand your photography so if you so choose to get into photography. There's just so many things, and that there's so many videos out there comparing cell phones to legitimate cameras, but they never really get into the main differences between the two is not image quality. There is differences in image quality, which everyone's gone into depth about, but the differences are in the features and handling and and things that you can do with a legitimate camera that you can never do with a cell phone. Like a cell phone, you can't use a flash. That's the most obvious thing. And flash is one of the most critical things to expand your photography. Um, that to me, and then controlling the camera. If you want to do bracketing, I think cell phones will do bracketing now. But if you want to do bracketing in a legitimate camera, there's so much AI in cell phones now. They do so many things for you that you don't know exactly how the camera's achieving a certain image. And that, like I said, that's fine for the masses, but for somebody that's an enthusiast and wants to learn photography, uh, that's you really appreciate having a legitimate camera and learning how those things work and what the artificial intelligence is doing. Because when I see all this AI stuff on these phones, I'm thinking, well, all they're doing is bracketing the shot to create this shot, or all they're doing is slowing the shutter speed down, to gather more light, or all they're doing is have some algorithm to determine the depth of field, and then, doing some masking to outline. I mean, I get it. I understand AI can do a lot of things and it's pretty awesome, but it's not the same as learning that skill set for yourself and how to do that in a legitimate camera. And but you have to be into it. You have to enjoy photography and want to learn those things, right? And I like many of my viewers here and audience, I should say, do enjoy that process. Like you always they say the journey is the end, right? The journey is the end, meaning you're doing it for the journey, to learn about photography and to enjoy it. Um, and having AI or using a cell phone that does a lot of amazing things, to get these results. The result is not what we're going for. We're doing it because we enjoy the process, and then we get the result as just a bonus, like icing on the cake. So, from my perspective, anyway. Um, and hi, Rob. Okay, I'm sorry. I see a question here. Uh, Hi, Rob. EM1 Mark II and a 12 to 40 Pro for video, sports, soccer, workouts. If you can get out on the 40 millimeters a little bit short, meaning it's not going to get in close enough if you're standing in the bleachers or on the stands. If you can be in the field with the players, you'll be fine. You can get close enough. But yeah, it's not, you need a longer lens. EM1 Mark II with a 40 to 150 f2.8, the pro lens, because a lot of times soccer games are at night with the artificial lighting and all that. You're going to need a fast lens. That would be a better choice. Um, but as far as autofocus and you're gonna want to use single point or 5 point autofocus. There's lots of tutorials on that. I don't do those because I'm not really a sports guy. But the M1 Mark II is a very competent sports action camera when it's paired with the 40 to 150 Pro f2.8. That would be a better match than the 12 to 40. And I'm going to go. Priority set was a great point. I always want, yeah, thank you, Scott. That's a huge point, man. I thought that was great. Um, and then John says, exactly right regarding your videos. I compared my settings on the M10 to yours, and although they were quite close, there were several gems I got from watching the vids. Oh, okay, awesome. It's always that one thing, right? It's like, when I watch Peters and Robbins and Jimmy and Joe and whoever else is doing Micro Four Thirds, I pick up stuff, all the time. I'm always picking up stuff. And Richard says, I love watching different photographers vlogging. It's good to see different views and techniques. Always happy to learn new tricks. It's how I got to see first. Oh, awesome. I'm going to do some more vlogging though, definitely. People have been asking me a lot about my vlog. I didn't know they were so popular because I don't get a lot of views on them. But I enjoy doing them. It's just, with things are opening up. And someone asked me earlier, I forgot to answer, do we have to wear a mask? Yeah, if we can't be 6 feet apart from whoever else is in the park, we have to wear a mask. So I was wearing a mask most of the time when I was out shooting today. And this John says, oh, I already hit that one. And why does this keep coming up, John? I'm sorry. I've seen that. Arthur says, that video was superb. Now I understand the default file naming of my camera. Thank you so much. Mystery solved, and it's easy now that you... Oh, great. And actually, I have a question for you guys in different countries where you typically use the year, date, month, right? So it's, 2021, April 9th. That's how you write the date down. You put the year first, day, and then year, month, and then the day, right? Year, month, day. In the US, we do month, day, year. It's stupid. I don't know what's wrong with a lot of like the metric system is awesome. I hate that I struggle with the metric system, but if they just forced us to use the metric system, I would get used to it, and it would just make sense to me when I say, yeah, that's about 10 kilometers from here, or I get, you know, 20 kilometers per liter and gas mileage, those things just make no sense to me in terms of, I can't conceptualize what that means. But I would learn it fast, right? Because it's awesome. It just makes complete sense because it's standard. I hate this feet, inches, pounds, uh, ounce. It just drives me nuts. Like how many quarts in a gallon? How many ounces in a quart? I I don't know. It's just, oh my God. I don't know why. I don't know why we're still on this old system. Um, we should all be on metric. We should all be using metric. Please, somebody. If there was a vote today, I would say vote metric. But yeah, my question is basically on year, month, day. Makes complete sense to me. You do the year, then the month, and the day. And then there's no question what day and date it is. I can't tell you how many times I'm like reading a date and I'm like, well, especially those days and months where the numbers are all the same, like 2021, 2102. It's like, what day and year is it? What? I don't know. Somebody help me, right? So if your camera, when you do your file names in different countries, what does that file naming convention hold is my question. Not that if do you use YY month, if you use year, month, day, but does the file naming convention that I outlined in that video still hold true for you guys that are in different countries is my question. Okay, enough of that rant. Personally, I find cell phone cameras more difficult to hold. Yeah, the ergonomics are terrible on cell phones. I never shoot with my cell phone except for just documenting things like somebody's business card or a map when I go to the park, things like that. And Lysip is asking, I had to change the battery on my EM5 Mark II. The battery lock lever fell off. I managed to snap it back in. Anything I can do to stop? No. I don't know. Let me look at mine. And these battery doors are like 60 bucks, right? They're not cheap. Yeah, I don't have any advice for you because it's never happened to me, so I haven't had to deal with it. Um, it happened on my EM10 Mark II, and I just ended up super gluing everything back together. But that battery door completely got obliterated. Yeah, I'm sorry, Lysippus. I don't have any good advice on that. Uh, so that was Lysippus, Tony. The best camera is the one that becomes a friend that you simply love, love, love taking pictures. You'll take out your best image. Absolutely. That's why the Pen F for me is that camera. This is the one I love. I mean, I love all the Olympus cameras, but if I could only have one camera, one lens, this is it. Pen F with a 17 millimeter f1.8. I could I could live forever with that lens and or that combination. You can bury me with it. And hitting the sack. Okay, Arthur, we'll see you later. That was 7 minutes ago, so thanks for coming in today. I should probably wrap it up. We're just over 2 hours. And DDMMYYY and you're really okay on your camera, right? Not in real life. In real life, you do year, month, day, right? Um, you can keep that metric system. You don't like the metric system, Seraphin? I love it. It makes perfect sense. And Rick agrees with you there. Car? Not Karen. Why did I say Karen? Car. Car. And Michael says, year, month, day. That way you're always in alphanumeric order. Yeah, that too, right? For file naming conventions. I mean, there's so many reasons to do it that way. It's not confusing at all. Not at all. Oh, anyway. And metric is simple. Just switch your centiyards to centimeters. I know, right? It's so simple. When I was taking chemistry and physics back in high school, I was like, God, this makes so much sense, the metric system. I mean, I didn't like the idea of having to use it in real life because I was a kid and I was stupid. But in real life, the metric system is best for everything. My biggest holdup on camera is just price. I've enjoyed learning the little bits I can on my 530, but I mostly do videos for photos. I do get a bit disappointed with the 530. Yeah. Um, you can really make a lot of improvements in your video and photo quality. For video quality, and it's the same for photos, lighting. If you can improve the lighting or be in good lighting, once you learn to see light, if you're only able to work in natural lighting, outdoors, in the shade, whatever, once you learn to see light and you know the limits of your camera, you'll start taking better pictures because you understand light and how it gets recorded, whether it's in video or in photos. You'll definitely. So I would study that, and it sounds very vague, right? Study light, right? Once you learn to see light, what the heck does that mean, right? How do you do that? Like if you Google YouTube or something right now, how do you find the light? You'll see, you ask 100 photographers that question, they'll give you 100 different answers. So you have to find one that makes sense to you and speaks to you. So if you're watching a video about learning how to see light and it doesn't make any sense to you, find another video or another teacher, and eventually somebody will connect with you, right? And that's why I never feel like I'm in competition with my peers here, with Jimmy and Robin and Peter and all the other camera YouTube channels, photographer channels, because we all have our own voice and our own way of communicating what we want to teach you, right? And what I teach, if the way I teach connects with you and you understand what I'm trying to tell you, right? Like in that movie Rush Hour, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, right? Then awesome. If what I'm saying makes no sense or is foggy, check out another channel. Check out another teacher, right, online and see if what they say makes sense and connects with you. And eventually you'll find someone or group of people online or in a book or whatever that when they say learn to see the light and understand light, that it makes sense to you how you're going to do that and how you approach that. You know, that said, I've never done a video on how to see the light myself because it's not an easy thing to talk about. But yeah, that's the best advice I can give you is it's not about your gear. You can take great pictures with a PowerShot 530 and your cell phone, but uh, if you want to take better pictures, you have to learn more about seeing the light or adding lighting to your scenes, things like that. But ultimately, that's the long answer, right? The short answer is, with respect to what the way you asked it, I think is if I have a $5,000 camera and lens, I'm going to take better pictures every time. You know what I mean? Given that we have the same skill set. All things being equal, you have the same professional photographer, right? And you give him a cell phone and you give him a $5,000 camera, he's going to take better pictures with the $5,000 camera every single time. But that doesn't mean anything from a consumer standpoint that a professional photographer can take better pictures, right? Because that's just marketing. They're trying to sell you a $5,000 camera. The truth is you can take better pictures with anything once you understand photography, right? Because the name photography itself, photography, is what? Uh, I forget the word that explains, but basically, photography means painting with light, right? Drawing with light. So, uh, God, another long-winded answer. I'm sorry. Mars Climate Orbiter, 1999. I have no idea what you're talking about. And date added DDM MYY and X, the file names are stored like yours. I didn't understand that the date was in fact part of the Olympus names. You explained, so, oh, awesome. So it's the same in your country too then. I don't know if it's the same in every country, but it seems like if your country normally writes the date on paper, year, month, day first, and you buy a camera in that country and it's doing the same thing that we do here in the US, then that would imply that around the world, my video that I made will apply to everybody. So that's good to know. I wasn't sure because I think it was Rick brought up that point, a very good point that, not everywhere does month, day, year like we do here in the US. So the nomenclature on the file names may not apply in other countries, but on cameras sold in other countries, I should say. But I'm sure I would have got a lot more feedback in the comments, people saying it doesn't, what I taught teaching doesn't work if that were the case. But I don't know. Not everybody comments. Uh, but thank you, Carr, for explaining that. Uh, Richard says in the UK we kind of use both. We drive miles, yet buy fuel in liters. Yeah, miles per liter, right? What's up with that? Anyway, I'm 5'11" but weigh 85 kilos. As for what? You don't tell your height in centimeters? Because I have some cousins that came from Korea and I would ask them how tall they are and they would say I'm like 51 centimeters or whatever it is. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Anyway, that's interesting. In the UK you say 5'11" and 85 kilos. I lost my place again. So Car gave me the day, month, year, and the EXIF. Thank you. What I can do is actually look at the EXIF data in my photo editing live stream because a lot of you guys are from different countries and you're sending me raw images. I can look at the EXIF in there and just see for myself. I don't know why I didn't just do that for the video. I can't think of everything when I make a video. God, that video took me almost 8 hours to make. I'm exhausted. I haven't worked this hard in a long time. Like, made a video. And Rick says, still bowing to the Emperor Napoleon. More countries still use imperial than you realize. Being brought up on both, each has its advantages, although I agree liter of beer is better. That's right. Oh man, I'm getting thirsty. This water is not cutting it. Um, it's Sunday, man. In the UK, we kind of use both. We drive. Oh yeah, I read this. That's very curious to me. And Barry's here. How are you doing? Yeah, it's late. It is late. It's like 10:30 over there, isn't it, in the UK? I'm going to try and get caught up here. What's this? Rob Trek, the Mars orbiter reference was to a mission in 1999 when NASA lost its craft because a contractor mixed up. Oh, wow. What the hell is going wrong with my chair? Okay. See, I got confused because I love that show, Space 1999, right? Which I think was a British show, but made for the US market. I don't know. It's very confusing. Yeah, that rings a bell. Somebody mixed up US and metric. That's right. Uh-oh, people are texting me. Like so many former British colonies, the Americans still use the antiquated October 5th, 2021 versus the current UK of 5 October 2021. Hardly surprising for okay, Rick. I think everybody should do year, month, day, in my opinion. But that's the computer geeky guy side of me. Lucky me in Germany, meter and kilograms. Everything's super simple. And yes, that's right, Michael. Germany's got it right. That's why they make such great cars. And the best measurements are for the old school British beer barrel volumes. Kinderhogs. That's funny. Um, okay, last chance for any questions. I think if you asked it and I haven't answered it yet, now's the time to ask it one more time because I'm going to wrap it up after this. I guess I need to tell my ghost stories. I don't know if Marco's still here. He's the one who wanted to hear it. Did anyone else want to hear it? Time to get Magrat into bed. I've been appointed my cardio. Oh, okay. We'll see you guys. Yeah, it's time to go to bed, right? Um, oh, I need I need to talk to her later. Uh, what's this? Still have not shown Rob our knowledge. One difference between camera concerns the presence of onboard flash. The M10 II has one, while the that's a good point, but that's not what I was thinking of. Way back when we were talking about one thing, the M10 Mark II does better. I didn't. So that's an excellent point, though. It does have a built-in flash, which I think is better. But that's not what I was thinking of. But that's a good point. I forgot about that. Okay, so we'll answer the question. Yeah, I'll answer the question. One is what does the M10 Mark II do better than the M5 Mark II? It's the continuous shooting buffer is way better in the M10 Mark II. Way better. Um, you can fire off 2 or 3 shots on the M5 Mark II. The buffer is full. You can get closer to about 10 shots, I think, on the M10 Mark II before the buffer gets full. So continuous shooting buffer. I have a video on that somewhere. I can't find it now, but I have a video on it where I tested the continuous shutter with the M1 Mark II, the M5 Mark II, the M10 Mark. I compared them all side by side. I don't know where that video went. It's like it got deleted or something. But I know I did a video on it. And so that's it. The continuous shooting buffer is way better on the M10 Mark II than the M5 Mark II. That was the thing. Uh, the ghost story. I'll be real quick on this one. Uh, you know, this was in my house when I lived out in Centerville, and my sister and I were working in the basement, and we were the only two in the house. And while we're working down there, the smoke detector went off. And I looked at her, I said, "Are you cooking something upstairs?" And she goes, "No." And she asked me, and I said, "I'm not either." So we go upstairs, and we can smell plastic burning, right? And we go into the kitchen because that's where the smell's coming from. And all the burners, it was a gas stove, all the oven burners were on, or the stovetop burners. So four burners were just going full blast, and the oven was on. And I don't cook. One, I don't cook. Back then I didn't cook. Two, I definitely don't bake, so I never use the oven. The only thing I use the oven for is storing my pots and pans. And because the oven was burning full blast, somebody turned it up to like 500 degrees. All the plastic handles on the pots and pans in there were melting and burning. Oh man! I'm telling you, my sister and I are the only one in the house, and there was no reason for that to happen. Uh, and that house that I lived in, right behind it was an old Civil War like um, something Civil War related. But lots of, it was a train station or something behind me, and people have said they've seen ghosts back there and all kinds of stuff. But that's what happened to me with the burning smell. That's my mini ghost story. And a lot of weird things happened in that house, and if they followed me over to the house that I moved into after that. But ever since I've been in this house, no problems. No hauntings, no creepiness, nothing. I've been perfectly fine here. But I had some very creepy crap happen to me in the last two places I lived. It was just, but that stove burner thing. Okay. Oh, Marco, you are here. So that's what happened. Oh, HCam, how you doing? I have to go. So, did anybody ask a question while I was telling that story? If not, I'm gonna head out. EM5, yeah, that's the question. So, all right, I'm gonna go. You guys are awesome. I'll be back on Tuesday, very likely to do a photo editing live stream. I'm not sure about Thursday, but definitely Tuesday I should be able to do something. But just check my channel, subscribe, hit the bell notification, all that stuff, and maybe you'll get notified. I have no idea. But just come back and check my channel time to time, and you'll see a thumbnail for the thing. And I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day, spend it with me. It's always a lot of fun, and I learned something. Hopefully, you learned a few things, and um, buy me a coffee or hit the like button, whatever you can to do to support. I really appreciate it. You guys have a good rest of your weekend. Thanks again for being here. We'll see you again soon. Uh-oh. I did program an end button. Which one did I program it to? Number 9. Let's see.